Kimberly
Yes.
would.
No,
Ann
Ann has.
Oh, Ann?
Hi, I am attending under AB 2449. I am the only adult present at this moment. And so I will be attending under those provisions, and I think that covers it. But please let me know.
So you will be voting.
Yes,
So what was that?
Okay.
AB 2449.
AB
2449.
Yeah, okay, great. All right, let's start with reports from government officials. Marisol, will you give us the county's report?
Thank you. Hi, good evening, everybody. My name is Marisol and I'm here representing the Office of Supervisor Ray Mueller. So I have a couple of updates for all of you. Other than that, I will be at this meeting only for 1 hour today since I have another meeting to go to. My first update is regarding some copies that I received regarding the MCC community comments on NPS GGNRA plans in Rancho Corral de Tierra. Thank you for providing the community feedback. The supervisor, as you're aware, the supervisor was able to get some commitment on having the same amount of horses with mitigation on limiting bacteria at the site. We will send a letter to see what feasible alternatives there are to keep the same number of horses. Now, with respect to your communication about the Montera Moss Beach study, with the director of DPW, she just returned to her office. So we have an upcoming meeting next week for more details.
Are you talking about the school, Fairlawn View School traffic problem?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
so go ahead.
Okay, thank you. My third update is.
Back up and repeat what you were saying about the Montero.
Yeah, so, well, the only comment I have on that is that we plan on meeting with the director of DPW. She just returned to her office, so we have an upcoming meeting next week.
We, mean you?
The supervisor, I'll probably be in the meeting, perhaps another one of my colleagues.
So
and
the district
director.
office will be meeting.
The district office,
Okay.
yeah. Now, with respect to health, this is an update on Seton Coastside. So County Health sent a letter to the Attorney General's office last week demanding that the Attorney General comply with the law and comply with all legal requirements and recognize County Health's ability to object to the permanent closure of an emergency room facility at Seton Coastside. In particular, County Health and Supervisor Mueller are concerned that patients in the SNF unit at Seton Coastside need those emergency standby emergency rooms, which was the original reason why they were included in the facility. Supervisor Mueller is concerned that even if community members would prefer an urgent care center for themselves, someone needs to continue to speak for those in vulnerable medical conditions housed at the facility. Both federal and state law set forth strict requirements that must be followed in the closure of an emergency room, no matter the political pressure that some community members may want to exert. The Attorney General is bound by the law. Supervisor Mueller believes in this interim time period, the best path forward is to provide for both an emergency room and urgent care center. Okay. And I had a comment regarding whether on item 5A, it's about recruitment, and the supervisor wanted me to relay that if you wish any assistance on recruitment, feel free to let us know.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. My other update is on RVs. El Granada is next. There's a process the county goes through, and the county is aware. They have multiple departments engaged for enforcement activities. So just wanted to let you all know that the team is well aware of the issue. Also today, Supervisor Mueller met with the Director of Human Services Agency, Claire, and is looking for at clearing RVs. So the county is currently working on this, and more details will come as I get more updates.
Okay. We have questions from the council. Claire?
Regarding the health issues.
Yeah.
I'm surprised the county health joined with that letter. But be that as it may, it is not standard or required that a SNF have an emergency services component connected to it.
Okay,
That is completely wrong.
okay.
The history of why that's there is totally different. And doesn't mean it shouldn't be there, but you can have a SNF without emergency services attached to it. It happens routinely.
If I could, I was going to make the same comment. My wife used to be the health care coordinator at Sunrise Senior Living in Belmont,
Okay,
and they didn't have an emergency room in the facility. So I don't know where that came from. And my concern is that by burdening Seton with additional requirements, it may threaten the economic viability of the place. But Claire, you're better positioned to speak to this than I am.
Well, there are many different ways of looking at it. I do think that it's possible that they could have both. I think it would be economically difficult.
okay, I'll clarify, I'll talk to the supervisor and make sure that there was no error on my part.
No, I
On
don't
the
think there
update?
was. I think he believes that.
Okay. Well, I'll share the comments, Claire. Thank you. I'll share the
Does it make
comments.
sense to have a member of the MCC or someone else attend this staff meeting or the meeting they're going to have on this?
What meeting?
Sorry, say that.
You
Can you
got a
repeat
meeting
that?
on it, or you just said?
They sent a letter.
They sent a letter.
Okay, other questions from the council for? No, yeah, I think we have one from Sid.
Sid? Sid?
Yeah, I was looking for my microphone, sorry. First of all, for the people that aren't in the lingo out here in the audience, do you want to tell everybody what a sniff is? You're all talking about sniffs. Do you want to just explain it, or can Claire explain it if you don't know?
Yeah, I would defer to Claire if
It's
she'd
just
like.
it's an acronym for skilled nursing facility.
Okay, and so that for everyone else's knowledge, and since Greg didn't seem to know, Seton Coastside used to be an actual hospital, and that used to be an emergency room for the whole entire coastside before it became a skilled nursing facility. Because I moved here in '88, and Seton Coastside was considered part of St. Mary's Health or St. Catherine's Health. I forget what they called it, but it was part of a actual hospital. Anyway, I happened to drive up there the other day, and since you're on the discussion about RVs, there's an RV parked up there with out-of-state plates and another car next to it on the upper parking lot above. And there doesn't seem to be any construction work going on right now at the facility at all, even though the Half Moon Bay City Council seemed to have a big meeting with Seton in attendance, or people from Seton in attendance, acting like they were working on that building. And it didn't look like there's any construction work going on. Now, I was there on a weekend, but there didn't seem to be any kind of signs of any construction work. Claire, have you seen any signs of it?
Yes, so I was in the building. I did see construction going on. There's quite a bit of work going on.
Okay, just not in the outside parking lot. There's nothing. But
Can-
anyway, okay, maybe they just clear out on the weekends then. So, do you have any kind of an opening date for when they're going to be finished?
The estimate is spring 2025.
Okay, thanks.
Which would
That's all I
coordinate
had.
nicely with the Dignity project getting off the ground and then transferring the services up to Seton if all goes well. But it may not go well.
So Marisol, maybe just put the RV thing on your,
Yeah, I was going to
list.
ask Sid, if you can be a little bit more specific about what you observed and maybe send me in an email the exact location, it would be much more helpful.
that email you gave me last time, did you get my email? I replied.
Yeah, I replied, and I think I replied to you as well either yesterday or today.
Oh, okay. I didn't get
So-
that, but then.
So if
I
you
didn't
can
check-
reply back, I would appreciate it. Yeah.
Well, I didn't check my email today, so,
Oh,
okay, thanks.
Thanks, Sid. All right, any other questions from the public? No? Okay, thanks.
Thank
That's
you,
a good
everybody.
report, Marisol. Thank you.
Okay, great. Next, I see Harvey. Harvey, you got anything for us?
Yeah, I do indeed. Continuing this discussion about healthcare on the coast side, the city council did receive a update from Seton, and there were many public comments afterwards. There were two things that came out of that meeting. One is that we are going to have a coastside wide meeting, not just a Half Moon Bay, to talk about healthcare needs on the coast side. It will be at the Oceana Hotel, a date to be decided, probably midweek, sometime early October. Seton made it very clear that if we really want an urgent care facility, we have to make it clear that there's a demand for it, that there's a need for it. And that's one of the purposes of this meeting will be to show the interest of the community, not just the city, but the entire coast side. So it's really important that when we find out exactly the details, we really get community enthusiasm going, because only if we convince Seton that there's a real need for it will it happen. Along those same lines, the city council has authorized our mayor to send a letter to Attorney General Bonta expressing the need for an urgent care facility, because up to now that hadn't been on his radar, I think. The discussion about whether or not an ER is necessary is sort of off the table from my perspective. Most important thing is that we do get an urgent care facility at Seton in the spring of 2025. So when we find out about that meeting, I want to encourage everyone to show up. The other thing that I want to announce is that the Summer's End Music Festival is going to be on September 21st this year, Saturday. It's going to be all day, 10 to 5. It's going to be at the IDES Hall. It really should be a blowout. We're going to have a lot of good people, a lot of food, family activities. It should be a wonderful thing. In the future, we hope it's going to be at Carter Park, but that's not quite ready yet. So we'd like to end summer in a positive way. I'll be glad to answer any questions that anybody has.
Okay, we'll go Brett first, then Claire.
So Harvey, I wonder if you would copy us on your letter, even if in draft form, and then for the council's discussion under future agenda items, I'm wondering if we should write a similar letter to what Half Moon Bay is doing. I'll defer to Claire.
Well, yeah, we're a county agency, so if county has a policy, so we'll talk about it.
Did you have a question for Harvey?
Yeah, I wanted to add something to what Harvey said. This meeting that is going to be coastside wide, I was told they wanted it to be jointly sponsored by PMAC, MCC, and City of Half Moon Bay. So I don't think we have to do anything, but they're going to ask for our sponsorship. So keep that in mind. And also just to update on the dignity situation, if I may. It is still not open as urgent care or even extended hours at the Dignity facility in Half Moon Bay on Main Street, but they are getting close to being open. When they do, we'll have to let everybody know, but they have gotten it arranged so that they can take all insurances, including Kaiser, which is a big step in the right direction. So we'll stay tuned for that.
Wow. That's awesome. Any other questions or comments for Harvey from the council? No? All right, Sid?
Harvey, did I understand when I watched the city council meeting, that they said they needed to prove that there would be use for it on the coast, but they really wanted paying customers, not the people that have, I guess you would call it non-paying customers that couldn't afford to use a emergency facility, right? Isn't that what he was looking for?
I don't quite understand what you're asking. If you're talking about urgent care or an emergency room, which
Well,
are
I
you
forgot
talking
what you said, that Seton wanted to be sure if they put one in, that there would be widespread need and use of one. And by use and getting people to say they would use it, in other words, not go over the hill to Kaiser, but to come and use the one at Seton. he didn't just say people without insurance, right? He meant all people.
Right. We're hoping that if we're successful in having an urgent care, it will be open to everybody with insurance of any kind, including Medi-Cal,
Mhm.
which I think that's what you're referring to.
Yeah, I guess I didn't know exactly how to say it, but obviously they didn't want to just attract the people that didn't have insurance. Is what I meant.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
Any other? Oh, Dan.
Yeah, thank you for your report, Harvey. Hey, I just wanted to mention, I'm aware of the upgraded, or they're in the process of upgrading the electric chargers in front of New Leaf, in front of Pete's Coffee, Half Moon Bay. And one thing I've been around some of these other charging locations, and they sometimes they tend to have like a long line of Teslas or electric cars waiting, because sometimes there's more cars that want to get charged with this new super fast charging system, high powered charging system that they're going to provide. I think that I get a full charge in 45 minutes or something. So I guess my question is, do you know if the city has thought about the potential like queuing up of cars and the potential problem of blocking the in and out through the parking lot and just the whole mobility through the parking lot?
I can tell you what I know. What that is a level 2 charger at New Leaf. It's not the super fast charger I think you're referring to. The only super fast chargers right now in Half Moon Bay are at the Electrify America charging stations near the Bank of America. Those can go up to 200 kilowatts, which is pretty good. The city is currently under contract with a company that will add more green energy in many different ways to city buildings, and that will include more charging stations. I've encouraged them to see if they can do some DC chargers. Those are the fast ones. But they're expensive, and it's up in the air whether or not the new chargers that the city will be requiring will be level 2 or DC. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, well, I know they had to do some significant power upgrades. There's more electrical equipment, which is taking away more parking spaces. Do you know how fast a level 2 charger will? I'm just curious if
Approximately 5 miles an hour.
do you know how fast it'll charge a relatively low electric car?
I just told you, 5 miles an hour.
So our car takes 7 hours at level 2 at 40 amps. Through a 40 amp 240 line, it takes about 7 hours to charge
For level 2.
to a level. I have
Okay.
a level 2 in my house.
All right.
Yeah, my EV charges in 20 minutes from 0 to or close to 0 to 80%. 20 minutes at the Electrify America charging station.
Ours takes.
That's a level 3 charger.
Yeah, ours takes 45 to fill there.
All right, thank you.
Sure.
Anything else for Harvey? No. Thanks so much, Harvey.
You're welcome.
Any other reports from any government officials? If not, Kellex asked me to just let everybody know that their first flush thing where they test the water, they're doing trainings, virtual training on Thursday, the 12th, which is tomorrow. Tomorrow at 6 o'clock. And what is this?
Battery.
Oh, And then an in-person training on Saturday, September 21st at 10:30 a.m. And there is a link which I can put in the chat for anybody who's interested. All right. Yes.
Put in a plug for that.
Okay.
That's where, when the first heavy rain occurs, they go out and see what the actual pollution status is in the various waterways. And I understand it's a lot of fun. So please consider doing it.
Thank you, Claire. Agree with that. Okay, great. Then I think that's it for government officials. Then let's move on to council follow-up reports. So first up, can I share screen? Do I have the ability?
Let me see.
While we're figuring that out. So I think you all know I sit on the Citizens Advisory Committee for the San Mateo County Transportation Authority, and once a quarter we get an update on projects. And so I just thought I would show kind of what that looks like, because there are a few of them that touch coastside. So let me just show you what those look like, and if there is interest, I can, maybe every 2 or 3 times this comes along, I'll show it for folks if you find it interesting. I have no idea if you'll find it interesting or not, but let's find out. Okay, so the first one, this is the Moss Beach project. Okay. This is the Moss Beach project, State Route 1 congestion and safety. It gives us just a little graphic on how things are going with budget funding schedule. The status updates here in this little box. So just to summarize, they are in the project approval and environmental document phase. They have awarded a contract to a consultant, kicked off the project in
I got you, Claire.
shame on you. You were a troublemaker at the time. And so they have kicked the thing off. It's the project approval thing. It says 18 to 24 months planning and all that. And there will be some points in that process where we can weigh in and give public comment on all that sort of thing. So that's the one that's going to go from let's see, from 0.2 miles south of Cypress Avenue to north of 16th Street. Multimodal traffic operations and safety along the route, including at 16th Street, California Avenue, and Cypress Avenue, which of course we all have a lot of interest in, given what they're going to be building there. But that's that project. Then we've got number.
Question on that?
Yeah, sure.
So you're saying that this project's actually commencing?
Yes.
Because there were a lot of unanswered questions at the last meeting regarding this. So personally, I kind of feel like the community was ignored.
Well, there
If
is
they're
a
actually
plan.
picking,
There's no plan yet.
Yeah, there's no plan. There's this 18 to 24 month phase is the planning phase. So this is the point, like there will be some points in there where we will get to continue to articulate our concerns about, and they will, that's what they'll present, the different alternatives and all that kind of thing. So that's,
okay, thank you.
so yeah, so we'll have plenty of chances to weigh in on it, but it is proceeding, and now it's just begun that planning phase. Okay, then the next one is one that so the safety and operational improvements on Highway 1 down in Half Moon Bay. So this is the one that will, the point where the 2 lanes funnel into one when you turn north onto the coast highway. It's going to.
Are we supposed to see something?
Okay, can you it hasn't switched.
Yes, I think it switched.
This is Moss Beach SR1.
That's what I got also.
Oh, really? It hasn't switched.
I don't think so.
Let's see. So that's back to Moss Beach.
It's Moss Beach.
It hasn't switched. Okay, here, I'm going to stop sharing. And then I'm going to reshare. Sometimes we just have to do it. Okay, that. Okay, how about now? Okay.
Yes.
Great. Okay. I know. Thank you. All right. So this is the one that's in Half Moon Bay. So that's going to take that's going to widen it's going to lengthen the stretch that is 2 lanes So there'll be a little more space for the traffic to do its funneling thing. It says it will widen Highway 1 from 2 lanes to 4 lanes from Silver Avenue / Grand Boulevard to Grandview Boulevard. The frontage road will be extended to connect with Terrace Avenue, and a new coordinated signal will be installed at Highway 1 and Terrace Avenue. Multi-use side path will be installed on the north side of Highway 1. Landscaping improvements will be installed, and a new raised median. Bus stops will be rebuilt and connected to the pathways on both sides of the highway. So it's not just roadway stuff, it's also safety stuff. And that one is, it says the city is completing the final utility relocations in order to be ready for construction bidding. Once all the utility relocations are completed, Caltrans will issue the final encroachment permit, and the city will be able to advertise the project for construction. So that one's a little earlier in the process. So there's that one.
So where's that again? Is it north of 92 or?
Yeah. So it's right. Yeah, it's the we know when you turn up from Main Street onto Highway 1.
Sure.
Headed north, like it's that thing, as I understand it.
Essentially from Terrace to Grand, I think.
Yeah.
Which,
So it's gonna go another, like it'll just, like the two lanes funneling to one will extend a little bit further north. So there's be like a little more space to.
But what I don't understand is that Terrace Avenue is showing on my map is near Cypress Avenue and Moss Beach.
No, this
That's
is,
not where it is.
no,
That's a different terrace.
yeah,
We talk,
That's
it's
the
not
West Beach Terrace.
Grandview and
yeah.
so this project is more ahead of the other.
No, I think this one's
The
a
planning part is done.
Good
'Cause
question.
I did hear Half Moon Bay report on this a little bit at one point,
I guess.
but I never had an opportunity to talk to Caltrans about this.
Okay, well, I don't know where in the process it is in terms of public feedback. I was showing you what I saw in my meeting last week. So we had our monthly meeting last week. But I can, next time, I can ask.
Project will widen, so that means, you know, it's.
Yeah,
Already
they
decided.
seem pretty clear that they're gonna do that, yeah. Yes, Claire.
who's paying for this? It says, it says the city of Half Moon Bay is doing it. Does that mean the city of Half Moon Bay is paying for it?
Well, the Transportation Authority has to be involved in the funding somehow, or it wouldn't be coming up in this meeting. Like these are the projects, these are only the construction projects that the TA is actively involved in, so they are surely funding some of it.
Oh, it says
like-
SMCTA role funding agency. So maybe they are paying for it.
Yeah, they can't pay for more than about half of it. There's like a limit to how much they're allowed to fund for any given project.
I wonder if Harvey knows the answer to
You
this.
might. Is Harvey there?
Is this like 100 yards?
No,
I mean,
it's more.
it's actually
200
pretty,
yards?
yeah, it's actually pretty short.
Okay.
Yes. It didn't look like that long to me.
Yeah.
When I looked at the map last night. Okay, and then I just have one more, and then see if I can switch. Did that switch? Do I have to stop the screen share again? Okay, I have to stop the screen share. Stop the screen share. Start the screen share. Okay. This one's actually up in Pacifica. This is the Manor Drive overcrossing, which I am told has been on the docket for a long, long time, but it looks like it's actually progressing. It says so that the PAED phase has begun and will be completed by July 2025. 2 build alternatives have been identified, and the team is working to obtain traffic data from Caltrans. So this is building over like some kind of overcrossing on Manor Drive in Pacifica. I just thought maybe we'd all want to know about it.
So for clarification on
Yeah.
that prior project, Terrace Avenue in Grandview, that's 1,279 feet.
Okay, yeah. Well,
That's not all.
yeah, that's very,
That's
very precise.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, but it's also doing this, connecting the frontage road, it's rebuilding the bus stops, and it's putting in a raised median and, yeah, safety stuff. Blah, blah. So anyway, those are the 3 that came up that were coastside related in the meeting. I thought I'd pull them out there, show them to you. This is, I mean, these are the kinds of reports they give. I don't know if you find it interesting or not, but if on a, once in a while basis, you want me to show this stuff again, I'm happy to do it, because I just feel like otherwise how do we know? It's
awesome. I appreciate it.
Yes.
Thanks.
yeah. Okay. Awesome. All right, then that's all I got. Anybody? So Sid.
Okay, well, I was going to ask you, I thought you said there's going to be a comment period for Moss Beach, so that's when I put my hand up. Is
Mhm.
there comment period for the public, or you just said there's a time to weigh in or something?
Yeah, I mean, that process, the PAED process should have at least a couple of points where they solicit public feedback. So I don't know yet when those will be, because they just gave us kind of like I pulled out 3 pages of what was like 30-page, because these are all of transit projects all over the county. So I just pulled out the 3 that related to us. We don't talk about every project in detail every time, but
You'll
but,
let us know.
yeah, but yeah, I can always just ask and say, well, do you know roughly when we should expect a comment period on that project?
Well,
I'll
I
do that.
know. Okay, and on the Half Moon Bay project, I'm pretty sure I saw a planning commission hearing a long time ago about that stoplight at Terrace Avenue.
Mm.
And that's going to be a major disruption, because they're going to put in a whole nother lane of traffic that's going to be between those 3 neighborhoods, Terrace, Grandview, and Sea Haven. So there's going to be a 3rd lane. And right now, after you pass Terrace Avenue, it narrows down to 1 lane in each direction. But there eventually will be another whole lane all the way up to Sea Haven.
No.
But, that's a big project.
Yeah, I mean, it's not gonna be 3 lane, but the 2 lanes that funnel to
Well-
like, it's just gonna move 1,279
1,279
feet further north.
It's going to be another whole lane. Because right now it's only 1 lane up to
Yeah.
Sea Haven, and now it's going to be 2 lanes up. They're
Right.
going to move the merge further up, closer to Frenchman's Creek. But
Yeah.
I mean, hopefully it'll be okay. My concern is the funnel created before the new stoplight at Terrace Avenue, because that's where everybody comes in off of they get off 92 and they go north towards Terrace Avenue, and that's where it narrows down. But now there'll be a stoplight there. I don't know if you go that way ever.
I mean, I hope it's traffic triggered and not.
We'll see.
automatic, but yes, we will see. That'll
Time
be.
will tell. Anyway, that's all I wanted to weigh in and let you know about.
They
awesome.
described it as
Thanks.
coordinated.
Cool. Great. Then so that's my bit. So Greg, you want to give us an update on?
Yeah, I just wanted to follow up on the Montera Mountaintop restoration that we discussed last time. Claire submitted comments on behalf of the MCC. The Planning Commission had it on the consent agenda today and approved the SFPUC proposal for general plan conformity. But the coastal development permit for the project is not yet scheduled for a hearing. I know that SFPUC was hoping to do this by the end of the year, early into the winter. So we'll be tracking it. But anyway, we've done our part to advance it to the next step. That's from Lisa Ketchum, by the way.
Cool. Thank you. Any comments on that from anybody? No? Okay. Great. Then on we go to public comment on items not on the agenda. I see Burnett. Burnett, go for it.
Okay, thank you. Burnett Silvera, El Granada. To keep the council informed of developments surrounding the Quarry Park stormwater flooding problem, we included the council in distribution of a recent email to the Parks Commission. In the Parks Commission June meeting, the Parks Director stated his department would not be taking action within Quarry Park to address the flooding stormwater problem because the stormwater was following its natural drainage course. We, the neighbors to Quarry Park, questioned that characterization in the distributed email and provided supporting photos. As you know, there are 2 stormwater runoff flows that flood from the park. The first is from an erosion-controlled drainage ditch located behind the park's parking lot. How flooding stormwater runoff from a man-made and directed erosion-controlled drainage ditch can be called following its natural drainage course is beyond reason. The second stormwater runoff flow just north of the first is primarily the result of spillway runoff spillway runoff diverted around the earthen dam to protect it from overflow washouts. However, before exiting the park, erosion control efforts direct additional stormwater to merge with the spillway runoff. That merged and directed stormwaters are then collected at different locations below the dam and left to flood from the park. Again, characterizing such a stormwater flow as following its natural drainage course is unfounded, since merged spillway and erosion control stormwater is manually directed at different locations as it floods into the adjacent community. Claiming flooding stormwater from Quarry Park is just following its natural drainage course is not supported by the facts. Please also note that the park's approved 2022 master plan contains 74 planned erosion improvements that would dump even more flooding stormwater into our community. Would this increased flooding also be framed as following its natural drainage course? What do you think the likely answer will be? Thank you for your help and support.
Sounds like a professional,
Can I comment on
Yeah.
his comment?
yeah.
So Burnett, your concerns are understood. I saw the photographs and it will be in the stormwater report and you're going to make sure that I put it there.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bernard. Any other public comments on items or yes, Dan?
Yeah, in regard to, there has been some discussions months back about a Midcoast dark sky ordinance, lighting ordinance that would make sense. Just to update that Brisbane actually just started one March that was approved in January, started in place March of this year. Looked at it closely and I think it's a good model. So expect that that model will be brought up for inspection and to kind of get the ball rolling to have our own lighting ordinance in the Midcoast.
Cool. Thanks, Tim. Awesome. I see Laura Jackson. Go ahead.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for taking my comment. My name is Laura Jackson. I'm a Montara resident and the parent of a TK student at Fairlawn View. We also have a 2.5-year-old preschooler at Fairlawn View. I realize today, on the eve of the teacher's strike for the school district, my comment seems a little bit ill-timed, but I want to keep this momentum going with the request for transportation routes improvement in Montara. We are lucky to live 0.4 miles or 4 blocks from Fairlawn View Elementary. This will be our route to school for the next 9 years. And I wanted to mention that I'm not alone in this concern. On our route of 0.4 miles, there are 9 other children, 6 of whom are in TK and K students, so very new to going to school on this route. Within the next 3 years, that number will increase to 17 children along our 4-block route. We've talked about these concerns as we walk to school and sort of are in the midst of combating traffic on our route. We often actually drive because it's so unsafe and stressful to walk our 2 children to school. And so in Montara, in addition to, as you know, there being many intersections with no stop signs, there are also no sidewalks in many places, and particularly along our route that I'm talking about. There are no posted school signs, and on the last block of our route, there is no shoulder pushing us either into the lane of traffic or sort of hugging the trees on the way down to the school. We, I guess, as a proposal, would like to say to the group that it would be great for Montara to, consider, or us to consider arguing to the county for more route blocks with sidewalks to be included. As a minimum, if that's not possible, because I've had a discussion with the county and it seems like personal funding for that is necessary from each of the homeowners along the route. As an alternative, we'd like to also request a reduced speed limit, school zone signs. There are a lot of data about vehicle speeds and mortality rates when children are hit. Having a speed limit of 20 actually really reduces mortality in school zone areas. There's also a law. I was reading the DMV handbook as part of sort of looking up any evidence I could get to support this argument. And the DMV handbook says that at blind intersections, of which four-way stops, there not being stop signs at four-way intersections, the speed limit is 15. And so we don't have anything to indicate that around Fairlawn View. And I didn't know that as a legal driver. And so although sidewalks would be nice, I realize that's a long stretch, and there are many other things we can do to keep our kids safe in that last block of Knopf into the school, down George, George turns into Knopf where we walk. And so that last block, if there were even just a shoulder along that, what I presume is county land, for us to walk instead of competing with cars in traffic would be wonderful, and it would really increase the safety for us to be able to get to Fairlawn View for the next 9 years in our tenure at Fairlawn View. So thank you for letting me speak.
Sure, thank you.
Do we have that written down, something that she'd like to have?
So I was checking the transcript while she was talking, and it
Yes.
seems to be a reasonable recording. It would
Okay.
help if she had that in writing sent to us, but I can still think we can reconstruct it. Now, you are aware that we've written DPW and discussed this with them going back a few years, and I found that their initial claim on the traffic study was we don't have enough traffic. But the counter to that is it's still dangerous and we don't have sidewalks, right? And so she's making that point as well. So perhaps under future agendas, it's time for another letter.
Well, Marisol and
Yes.
Ray are going to be meeting with them, as she said.
Well, we still should forward this information to Marisol and Ray so that they have it.
Hey, Laura, are you reading off notes?
Rough notes, I can certainly send them to you.
That would be awesome.
Well,
Thank you.
again, I have the transcripts. So
Okay.
we can work it out when we get what she sends us.
Okay.
I want to ask at my next TA meetings. I feel like I remember them saying there will be sometime in the next, I think, year. a
They
call-
did, 2 years ago, they said there would be
Well,
follow-up.
yeah. So there would be a call for projects under safe routes to school. So if they do that, then we should.
So what I found in my inexpert review of the vehicle code was that even without the warrant and the traffic study, you were allowed within 1,000 or 1,200 feet of the school to install a bunch of warning signs, the yellow ones, and ground painting and stuff like that, and that hasn't been done either.
Awesome. Thank you, Laura. Any other public comments?
Carlene.
Oh, Carly. Doing a public comment? Okay. Oh, yeah, sorry.
Hi.
Good. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so much to say. So I just echo everything that Laura just said. It's the continuing effort. A couple things did come up, but I just wanted to review that on June 7th, 2023, we did get a message from Quavo saying that they didn't go ahead and put the traffic study into the year's budget due to limited resources, but would reevaluate in the coming year. Well, we're past a year now, so I'm just, would like to know what happened for 2024. Also, we did get a message from Tim Cheng for County of San Mateo, who said that they have adopted the ordinance to include 15 and 20 mile per hour speed limits to the county code, which is a safe routes to school effort for San Mateo County, and said that they have an RFP out to hire a consultant to help evaluate the schools in the unincorporated county to help determine criteria for prioritizing implementation of these school zones. So, and they said this study would take 9 to 12 months. So I'm surely hoping that our schools, Fairlawn View and El Granada Elementary School and Kings Mountain, would be considered for part of that, since we are in the unincorporated county, and I hope that they are prioritized. And if I have time, I would love, since you were doing the TA report, We being CUSD applied for a grant, which is a Safe Routes to School grant, which is funded by the TA. You may know about this project. It's with the Coastside Fire Protection District. They came to us and they had, they're doing their fire, let me make sure I get the word right, safe garden with a pathway on site. And along with that, they wanted to do a community project for sidewalks around basically the fire building there. So they were requesting that we help with funding. So we did receive a $28,000 grant to help with the funding. It is, as I understand it, $180,000 to $190,000 project. They wanted to get half. So with our 28, they would, they're hoping that the county, and I think they believe there's a good chance the county will come forth with the other 55, I think it was, or 65 maybe. And so the project is basically high visibility crosswalk across Obispo Road at Coronado, 2 new ADA compliant curb ramps at Obispo and Coronado, and Avenue Alhambra and Coronado, and then sidewalks on the north side of Coronado Street from Obispo to Avenue Alhambra, and then the concrete landing for Samtrans bus stop. And so basically it gets you from Highway 1 up Coronado. Right now, there's no real way to get up there. There's no sidewalk, there's no crosswalk. So it's an improvement. It was part of our Safe Routes to School walk audit, which we did in 2022 at El Granada, and it's also on the Connect the Coastside plan. So I'm hoping the county will come through with that money so that they can do this project, which is just part of what we would like at that area. It's not everything we want.
So, thank you, Carly.
Thank you for allowing me the time to.
Can I just ask a question? Did I hear? Oh, Claire.
First, and then
Carleen, excuse me, but are you the principal at Fairlawn or you're a Safe Routes to School person?
I'm the sorry, I didn't say that. I'm the Safe Routes to School coordinator for the 3 school districts on the coast side.
Okay, I'm wondering, and maybe I'm out of line saying this, but if District 3 is going to be meeting with the powers that be on this, I wonder if you would like to include her in the meeting, or at least as a resource for your meeting. And if you would be willing to do that.
yeah, go ahead.
First, I'll bring the supervisor up to speed on the comment that Carleen made, and then offer your suggestion, Claire, and then we'll kind of go from there. So.
Okay, thank you. If you're willing to do that, Carleen, perhaps you could have some input, even if she's not invited to the meeting. Perhaps you could talk with her.
I mean, you're always welcome to send me any email with information. But with respect to just the request that Claire made, I'll check with the supervisor on that.
Great.
Great.
Carleen, I just wanted to make sure I heard this right. 12 to 18 months to determine the criteria and priorities before.
Sorry, 9 to 12 months study is what I read on the interdepartmental correspondence regarding adopting the San Mateo Ordinance Code Amendment to include 15 and 20 miles per hour speed limits. This is dated 5/21/2024.
So maybe it's out of order, but my comment is somebody made the observation before they did this traffic study and spent money on it 2 years ago, that it would cost less money to just put in the yellow signs and they'd be done already. And so here we are 2 years later with a study that told us we didn't merit stop signs, and we still don't have any of the other reasonable accommodations mentioned by the people speaking tonight. And 9 to 12 months before we even get the criteria and the priorities, and so that we're talking 3 years and nothing is done.
That's the way the wheels.
Stop signs and warning signs sound cheap and easy to me.
Stop signs have all kinds of legalese surrounding them, and I appreciate the DPW has to follow the law.
Sure.
You have to have what are called warrants, which are like trigger criteria about whether or not you deserve to have a stop sign. But the school warning stuff does not have the same rigidity.
Okay. Other public comments? No? Okay, thanks everybody for all the comments. Then let's move on to the next thing, which is consent agenda. We have minutes from June 12th.
Yeah, I'm sorry, this agenda have the minutes at the time, but the minutes are posted on the website and it says minutes of June 12th, 2024.
So, ready?
Are we voting? Does anybody want to pull it? Oh, great, let's vote on it.
Okay, Greg,
Yes.
Gus.
Yes,
Claire?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Dan?
Yes.
Ann?
Yes.
Cool.
great,
Passes 6-0.
awesome. Great, then moving on to the regular agenda. So first up on the regular agenda is we're gonna have some empty seats at this table come November, and we need to not have empty seats at this table. So wanted to have open up a discussion about how do we, what are we gonna do to be short term to get, we have to fill 3 seats, right? For November, but not just kind of like that short term thing. How do we incorporate recruitment of new members into our sort of ongoing process so that we don't wind up in this situation where we sort of missed an opportunity to have some people on the ballot and all that kind of thing.
Okay,
So,
you ready?
yes, Scott,
Okay,
I see you got some stuff to go.
Once a month,
Yeah.
I go to the Half Moon Bay City Council meeting and
Right.
I can solicit there if you'd like me to.
Oh.
I don't know how many people from the Midcoast
Yeah.
attend that meeting, but it's the first thing that sprung to mind. I will solicit.
It's
from
probably
them.
worth saying if you know somebody who you think would
Yes.
be good for it, because everybody down there knows people who.
Okay, I'll say something on the 17th for that. And then I've also gone on about a booth at the farmer's market, just saying, here's who we are, we need members, etc. My only concerns about both those things is they're not in our territory. But we don't, but they are, a lot of people go there
Yeah.
from our territory.
Right, yeah, I would think the farmer's market in particular, because we don't really have one up here anyway. So
Okay, so I'll probably go there Saturday and I will get the details on a booth and schedule. And start to set one up before they close for the year.
Okay. I wanted to throw out there as a challenge that we try to, each of us on the council, try to recruit one person who would be potentially interested in doing it in 1 month, like 1 month from,
I got
like
my
2 meetings from now.
So my wife with a broken hand
Uh-huh.
didn't jump at the chance, but my daughter who's 22 did.
Oh, yeah.
And I think there's no,
Young people, we should.
okay, there's no age,
Sounds
there's
great.
no age thing or anything.
Like 18, but.
I move that we punt one Bollinger in favor of another.
That would work for me. It sounds good. So I got.
Okay, so you've already done your homework.
Did she do minutes? She's pretty awesome with a computer, not like, she's like the opposite of me.
That's
You
great.
can do Greg's job, right?
Yeah.
Probably minutes and Greg's at the same time.
With one hand.
She's computery, very computery.
Okay.
So
So, well, anyway, so, okay, so you've already done the homework.
So-
But
Yes.
I would, all the rest of us, I've got a couple people in mind I'm gonna approach. But I think we should all try to have one person who's interested in doing this by 2 meetings from now. That's a month. So
Yeah,
that's-
and all you folks that are online,
Yeah.
attending these meetings, why don't you just? come?
that's right. Yeah.
Yes, Marisol?
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to reiterate that if you had a request that District 3 assist in a form of recruitment, I'm not sure which one, but then I would relay it to the supervisor. Or likewise, you can relate to the supervisor.
We'd love to help. What are you offering?
I'm not offering anything other than what assistance in recruitment because I'm not sure what sources we can tap into, but that would be something we could explore.
Sure.
Let's try to do it ourselves first.
Yes,
And
yeah.
then
Yeah.
then if we need the assist, we'll
Should we give a
We'll have
little on
somebody-
coastside buzz?
Yeah,
All right, coastside buzz.
Yeah.
I see,
Let's give
I
Michelle
see,
the-
Michelle on the trail often.
Yeah, I think she's put it in her thing before, at least a
Okay.
few times, but yeah, but let's make sure that that's there. Anybody have anything to disagree?
I was just gonna let people know what the procedure is. We will have 7 members, a full slate, until the December meeting. At that point, three people will rotate off. At that point, even then, or in January, we have to appoint somebody. It has to be approved by the Board of Supervisors. But what we normally do is have interviews, have people that are interested come and talk with us at a meeting. And we just have some give and take about what that would be like. And we actually in public have to vote on who we want to nominate. And then it has to go to the Board of Supervisors. But that is the procedure rather than going through the election itself. It is an appointed position for all 3 of these. And it won't happen until December at the earliest. But we need to get started.
Yes, that's what I'm saying, is we should by 2 meetings from now, have each of us have somebody who's potentially interested. So we can kind of do the vetting and like have them talk to us on kind of thing and be ready to submit a list of who we think the 3 people are to the board so that they can decide if they approve our list or not. Yes, Craig.
So I, of course, have reached out to people, including the Fairlawn School people. I'm not suggesting the administrators who have full-time jobs, but maybe some concerned parents, especially those on Sunshine Valley Parkway who also had traffic concerns. I can imagine they would contribute. My point would be this. Most of our country runs on the volunteer participation by tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of citizens on school boards, planning commissions, water and sewer boards, and this council. And while it is an unpaid position, I believe it is essential to the, what do you want to call it, semi good functioning of a democracy. I also think having young people on is a great idea. It's not only good for a resume, I think it's good training in a whole variety of things, public speaking, project management, you name it. So I would encourage people to consider this strongly, and I appeal to the community to help us find 3 more people who can serve, on the council.
Awesome. So that's the short term, just getting through this cycle. But I also now want to at least discuss a little bit, how do we wind up not in this position 2 years from now? 2 years from now, it'll be to more of a cycle, like I cycle in 2026. So like, what are we going to do to not wind up having to scramble again 2 years from now? Great, that's thoughts. And then
So I just have one thought. We can dream that we have more people interested than we can take. There's certainly also an opportunity for internships, okay, that again would look good on a resume and provide reasonable real world experience for young people, whether they're, I don't know if high school's allowed. I guess you have to probably be 21 years old, but you could still be an intern helping us research things, whether it's stormwater or traffic, as an undergraduate in a college. And then you could progress to becoming a council member, as you age past 21 years of age. And
18. I think it's 18.
it's 18? Oh, okay,
There's
that's
a
even
voting.
better. That's even better. And then also there's the possibility that people serve in a limited capacity as interns. You will notice certainly the people who have helped us with dark sky issues and trail Montero Mountain issues that involve community members. So even if you become a single subject or single topic assistant, I think that would help both the council and then hopefully groom the next generation of people who, progress into full membership.
That's a great sales pitch. What I'm actually looking for is like, what's our process for?
So you're talking about the next election cycle.
Yeah, I'm
Which
talking
is
so
2 years from
2026,
December.
yes. So what process will we have to, so that, so the election will be in November of 2026. So whoever wants to be on that ballot will need to know who they are in like roughly August. I guess ballpark when when you would file to be on the ballot.
So we,
So we would need to have people ready to go by like basically summertime of 2026. So working backwards then,
That's what-
so like we just have as part of our process in February of an election year, we begin the process of everybody on the council identifies one person who's potentially interested. Like something like that, right? So like.
so your date is February.
Yeah, so February 2026, we have that's our project.
Okay.
Everybody finds one.
Because it can't be too early.
No, you don't.
It has to be
Yeah, it just
within a
can't.
certain,
So it'll take us like 1 to 2 months to identify people. So
Okay.
like by April, we identify the people.
okay,
And then we have a month or two of just like interviewing all that kind of stuff. And then,
then there's the trip to
yep, then
Over
we,
there.
that we can
get the thing done
we
officially.
can mentor, like get them through the, because that can be a little daunting, like, how do you actually do it? Like, let's take our people down to the elections office to help them, file all
yeah.
that, and then we have people on the ballot, and yes, the goal would be to have more people on the ballot than there are actually seats. That's the vision. Yes, Claire?
I think we should be careful with shepherding people through the process, because if it's a contested election, we don't want to be putting our fingers on the scale.
Well, we should help everybody.
Yeah,
Well,
but not,
if we-
not
like
finger on
when
the
you
scale.
ran, we didn't have a clue who you were.
Right,
You did it all by yourself.
yes, I did. How do I do this?
Yeah. But I think being willing to like guide people through the process, anybody who's
Do we
interested
need
to get
a
through the
work
process.
instruction?
Share the basic information.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we can define a work instruction, give everybody the same idea. Hey, how do I do this? Here's a canned thing, send it to them, right?
Yes.
So the concept of leverage comes to my mind. And then how do we get other people helping us help find candidates? And I was trying to think what organizations we can go to ask for assistance. Certainly I mentioned it at the Water Board in Montera.
Mhm.
We can mention it at GCSD, we can mention it at the Harbor District. And then I was thinking about schools. Well, the high school is a little young and they may not or may reside up here, but maybe we could contact the high school and talk about getting people interested as interns if they're going to be living here after they graduate high school. And then I was thinking of Alice, but I don't know how many people who are connected with Alice live up here that could serve. But the idea would be to speak in front of organizations. It's just unfortunate. I can't think of many organizations up here who provide us that leverage or an outreach.
Yes. Oh, you gotta go. Okay.
Thank
Thank you for coming.
See ya.
Yeah.
And send me.
Oh.
Burnett has his hand raised.
Okay. Yeah. Burnett, go ahead.
I just wanted to suggest in the same light that Greg was talking about is the junior colleges like CSM. A lot of the kids are trying to get into a four-year college. This would be really good for the transcript. They do have government or political science departments. It's just getting the word out to those that live here on the coast if they want to pursue the positions, or if you're just doing internships. I think would be a lot of kids would jump at the chance to work on the board. I mean, the council, excuse me.
Okay. I will help as a little takeaway to see if I can reach out to
Hello?
somebody in government and politics.
Hello?
CSM. What was that?
Maybe the guy on the telephone's trying to, you know how to raise your hand?
Somebody want to make a comment?
Who's saying hello? Somebody want to
We
speak?
don't know who he is.
Okay, let's move
All right.
on.
Okay.
So,
Maybe he'll come back.
Okay. Anyway, so I thought that was a good suggestion. Yes, Dan.
so, one thing I'd like to say is that, I think, well, historically, it's, the members have come through kind of word of mouth within the community. I think part of the, if you look at the bylaws, part of our responsibility as council members is to kind of be connected with the community, reach out, talk to people. I don't know how many times I've been told, hey, thank you for, I know you guys don't get a lot of you know, pats on the back or whatever, but, you know, you're doing a great, service for our community. So, you know, those people, you know, get out your little memo pad and write down their name and, but, you know, I think the best, MCC, members, you know, will be the ones that are kind of right for the job. I think that we should possibly caution ourselves with, you know, the concept of interns is separate from what I'm gonna say, but, you know, caution our, I don't wanna say wide broadcast, but, you know, if, you know, if it's too wide, we're accepting too many people we don't really know, they're, you know, for an interview, whatever. You know, if they're not the right person, if they're not the right fit, if they don't truly know, what they're getting into, it could become a burden. You know, if we get too many of the wrong people, you know, just kind of like, you know, so I think, you know, one other thing to keep in mind going forward, future is to, try to keep the, activities of the council as simple as possible, as, functioning as well as possible. So that, you know, it makes it appear that, you know, you know, somebody that's got some experience with the community or who knows, maybe just move here, but at least they know, you know, they are aware of the community and, you know, the concerns, a little bit of the history. You know, that we find those people. I think that approach would be, better in the long
Hello,
run.
how do I unmute?
Press the mute button. And so.
He was talking and they're still there. The phone number ends.
So can you can mute or if somebody wants to talk?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I'm almost finished. So, there's a method to raise your hand.
At least on a phone, it's sometimes hard.
They don't have that option on the phone? Okay.
Just finished, Dan.
I'm almost finished. So, yeah, there's that and, you know, I have talked to a lot of people. I'm gonna continue to talk to people. Sometimes, you know, sometimes people just come on late, you know, but, you know, I think the answer is to just have, with the work that we do, have good connections with the community. You know, introduce yourself, shop, et cetera, you know, that kind of stuff. Really kind of reach out into our community.
I think it might be interesting to see.
Let's let the caller say whatever they want to say. Go ahead, caller, if you want to make the comment.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, this is Carl May calling in. I'm sorry I've been screwing around with this damn phone. I did have one comment that you haven't covered so far in this discussion, which is we are currently in the middle of the period for registering for write-in votes. And the Midcoast Community Council in the past has had a successful write-in candidate. This was Laura Stein some years ago. So it's a way to go much faster than what you're talking about. But if people will get ahead of the county, get a hold of the county election office and can fill out the necessary forms to become a write-in candidate, then they can go ahead and have their names written in. Anybody who votes for them, writes them in, elects them. And so that gets around all the other kinds of things you have to do with interviewing candidates and so forth and so on. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thanks, Carl. Just to get your.
So, I don't, so in my mind, I'm thinking, what does this take? The county would prefer not, if we don't have, like, you couldn't vote for me because I would win anyway because there wasn't enough people.
Right.
So they didn't publish it because it's cheaper not to publish.
So
So,
we didn't have an election because there wasn't,
right,
right,
they didn't have to.
there wasn't a need.
There's no need. So I think we're gonna have to petition to say there is a need because of we
Well, I don't think that's actually true. I think,
we have to force them to do it. Right?
I think anybody can say, I want to be a write-in candidate.
But if it's not on the ballot, where are they gonna write it?
Yeah.
Well, but I think, but if somebody fills out those forms, if your daughter were to go and fill out those forms, and the county has to allow it. Like, county can't not.
I think
There's gotta be
you
a-
have to get the elections office to agree to put a slot on the ballot in the
Yes.
MCC with write-in space.
Well, I think what Carl
My
was,
point is, the second she shows up at the county elections office and says, I want to be a write-in candidate, that's it, it's already, like, we don't have to do anything. Her filling out those forms triggers that, regardless of what we.
Should I, you
lost me.
100%
we don't know if that, we've already passed that deadline. We don't know. It's worth looking into.
But yes, we should look into it.
Yes.
Let me put on my list. I'll drive up there. There's. Ask them to-
So
Like up there.
let's, at the end of this discussion, let's just summarize some action items.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Yeah, I'll put that on my.
I wanted, if I may,
Yes, Claire.
might be interesting to see how the people that are currently on this council made that decision. I personally saw a notice on the bulletin board at the Moss Beach Post Office that they needed people to apply. That's how I did it.
Okay. That's great, because you get local people, you don't have to worry about where they're from. If I go outside the territory, they're here in the territory, right?
What got you to?
Dan caught me cutting through the tunnel. He said, you want to do this? The secret tunnel. I was.
Stop you before you went through the tunnel.
Right. Caught me and my daughter. Caught me
Do you
before-
still go through it?
Yes, of course. Did it a couple days ago.
Dan, I think you were approached by a community leader to do it, right?
Yes.
I just
It was asked.
looked it up on the internet. I was like, what's the city council here? And then found this, and I saw Dave Olson's name on there saying, if you're interested, contact. Dave's like, okay, I emailed Dave and responded right away.
So I had been coming to these meetings for a while. I had found out about the council through my work on the water district, because sometimes those issues overlap. And I attended and was one of 4 candidates, I believe, who were screened for an appointment for a vacancy. And I was flushed. They picked a younger woman who didn't even serve out her term. And I didn't give up. And so I ran for election and with Jill and Dan, Jill Grant, Dan.
Okay, so, all right, so to synthesize the discussion so far, 1 month from today, we'll all have a person that we've recruited. We'll immediately look up this write-in candidate thing and see what's the process.
Well, let's assign that more specifically. Who is going to do what on the county election office? Do you want me to write them?
No, Dave,
Scott's
Scott's gonna do it.
I'll go up there.
Scott,
Yeah.
okay.
I think Scott will go up there, and then I, I just want to have at least as a rough draft process that like in February of 2026, we'll run the same thing where each of us has to go and find a person. And then, I'll have them, attend meetings and all that, we'll do things, whatever, but we want to have like an actual pipeline of candidates going into that cycle, so we don't end up having to do it this way.
So more notes? I have more notes.
You have more?
Yeah, for instance, we should post on Nextdoor, which I already did months ago, and I can do it again.
Yeah, let's do it again.
Okay. And then there's the question about whether we have signs or placards. Maybe we could spend some of our money for yard signs or something. And this is a question, do we post them at grocery and convenience stores, gas stations, the high school? And signs that we could send to, let's say, GCSD, the Harbor District, MWSD, I may be forgetting people, the schools, certainly, CUSD, and ask them to post somewhere. These signs, we can do that pretty quickly. Wait a minute, school's in session, so yeah, it's a good time.
No, they're not really.
They're not?
That's right.
Oh, excuse me. Well, when the school's no longer on strike.
So you're talking about having a flyer, what we would post? Is that what
Yeah, I
you're-
was thinking a flyer. Maybe we'd even have it be a thick flyer.
Okay,
And I wasn't really serious about the yard signs because I don't know where we'd get the real estate, but the idea is it's something that looks professional. We also, and
who
we've
would
done
do
this,
that? Because it's a great idea, so let's just nail it now. How do we do it? Who's gonna make one of those?
who's got graphic skills? Oops,
I don't have graphic skills, but I do have
Oops,
the
me.
person who does it. Okay, great. So you'll handle that.
all right, and then, so we already discussed mentioning it, the local agencies in public comment or personal reports. And then don't forget, we've already done this. Attend events like the safety day at Half Moon Bay, which didn't work out. There wasn't a lot of traffic, but we had a booth there. And then there's Pride Day, which had a ton of traffic. So setting up a booth whenever there's a local event. MWSD, for instance, occasionally has, I don't know, some people have had these events for the 75th anniversary or whatever.
What was that thing I did with you? Was that the safety day?
That was the safety day at Half Moon Bay, but there's also been events I know at MWSD, and we could ask the Harbor District if they have events. So we just show up, we have a portable table. We do have a banner. What else do we have? I can't remember. But we have some stuff in the office at the airport that we've used in the past.
Awesome. I've gone there as a takeaway for myself to see if I can reach out to somebody at CSM about somebody in like politics or government there and see if we can get some young folks who might be interested in.
Are you gonna write all the local districts and ask if they would post something and if they have any events we could attend? Or do you want me to?
And I might help out with that. Which just like who exactly would I reaching out to?
You reach out to the boards of each of the local districts and say, are you having an upcoming event where we could attend, have a table and, try and recruit members from the MCC? Would you agree to post a placard if we produced it? In like here, they have a glass case outside the office building, at the Harbor District office where Mueller is.
Yeah, I mean, I can help with that. How about you and I do that together? We just partition the work.
I know what that means.
Hey, I will.
My daughter makes Bill Graham style concert posters for UCLA when she was down there.
Is this the daughter who's gonna serve on the MCC?
Yeah, I'm gonna ask her to throw together a digital version real quick. She's very good at this stuff, so she might say no. I have a full-time job, leave me alone.
Well, if she won't do the placard, that's a bad sign for her interest in the position, but.
We'll see, but I have to, well, we'll see. She likes doing it, so. It might be cool.
Okay, other points on this topic?
Okay,
Let's move on.
Yes. Let's just rip this out right now too, because I might be able to do this very quickly. What would we like on the poster? Like of pertinent information. If you're interested, contact us, or what do you want it to say? Timeframes, that kind of stuff.
Well, I have them write the MCC generic email,
Okay,
and then one of us will pick it up and offer to mentor them. Mention opportunity to serve, get your resume, opportunity to influence events on the coast.
Opportunity to serve your community.
Midcoast needs you. I'll
Build
put
your
a big Uncle Sam on it.
Yeah.
With a finger like that. All right, okay, so
Maybe
generic
Taylor
emails.
Swift going like this.
Okay. Okay, well, we have a ragdoll cat, just like Taylor, so can get that in there. So, all right, so just the email, and I'll let her, and that will be the way that someone looks at the poster and says, okay, I'm interested. I'm gonna send an email to the general MCC. How's that sound?
Sure.
Okay.
Right. Love it. Okay, awesome, then. Well done with that one. Then let's, next discussion point.
Just one comment,
Bernard?
if I could. This is a little off from what you're saying, but to get a little more notoriety for the MCC, I don't think a lot of people really know much about it. what do you guys think about doing a float like at the Halloween parade in town in Half Moon Bay or the Christmas parade? Just, this is the MCC, the float, get people wondering what it is, so on. It's not going to solve necessarily the problem with the timing for, maybe for December, but just to get a little bit more notice of people recognizing what the MCC is and maybe what it does. Just a quick thought. Thanks.
Thanks, Burnett. Good marketing.
If we get a convertible or a toga and one of those things. Like back in.
Awesome. Should we get you a chariot drawn by?
Yeah.
I mean, we got horses here.
Yeah.
There is a major event in Montera on Halloween. They call it Monster Terra. It's the big thing in town.
Mm.
And my neighbor has a float
Monster
breaks
Terror.
out of
When is that?
on Halloween. You've heard of it?
No, I haven't, but since you brought that up, that was one thing I wanted to, I was gonna ask about. I was gonna talk about it, council activity, but like, are there any events like that kind of fall in mid-October to like mid-November? Because obviously Pumpkin Fest, but that's sort of huge.
That's a good one.
But the reason I was asking is that the transportation folks at the county, Chanda's group, their draft transportation demand management plan will come out in mid-October. They actually asked if they could push back a couple meetings so that they can present the actual plan when it's done to us. So I said, let's have them come on the 23rd. But anyway, they want to get it out there in the community and ask what kind of community events happen in that window. Because that's their sort of public comment period will run mid-October to like late November. So what is it? What was that thing called? Monster Terra?
Yeah, because it's Monster Terra, it's Halloween.
Okay. Are there any other things like that? Monster. Anybody knows of other than Pumpkin Fest? No. Is that the only one?
I don't know of anything other than,
Well, I don't know when they have the surfing thing anymore. Is that died off?
It's you do it whenever you want to do it. You videotape it.
So they don't have the Maverick surf thing anymore.
Not the way they used to.
Maverick Surf Festival, they had it last year.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. There's a festival, yeah, but I can't remember when that, what time of year that even is.
Maybe they're doing it again. I was there the whole time.
Yeah, I went to it last year, but I couldn't remember when exactly that happens.
I'll look it up.
Anyway,
I
Yeah.
thought February, but
okay. All right, well then, I guess let's just move on to the proposal to start a 501c3 that would make it easier for the county, because the county can't give us any money because we're an advisory council. But if we created a 501c3 that was rooted in the Midcoast, that could help basically be a target for funding to help fund some of the priorities. Since we as a council can't do that. So the question is, what does anybody think of that idea? Like forming a 501c3, like, there's a lot of.
could I just add some comments before we start
Yes.
the discussion?
Yeah, of course.
So part of the reason this came up is that we wrote a letter 2 years ago after we did the telecommunications report and identified that we had, and it was confirmed by the national press, the worst cell phone service in the nation, and the storm created our ability to even call for help. And we asked for $100,000 to do a feasibility study. The feasibility study would have allowed us to apply for a series of grants that started rolling into bidding, if you will, September of 2023. We never got a reply on the letter. As far as I know, we've never received a report from the county on what Measure K money has been granted to the coast. Although verbal conversations, I know Ray said the Midcoast got more money than anybody else or something, but it certainly wasn't any of the things we put in writing in the multiple emails that we wrote with our Measure K priorities. And then when I attended a year ago, the controller, the chief financial officer held a session on how to apply for Measure K money. And I sat through the whole day of stuff and learned all the software, only to find out that because we're an advisory board and not a 501c3, we're not allowed to apply for the money. Okay, so I was having a discussion with a member of Half Moon Bay who did the 503c paperwork for Alice. And he said, well, since this telecommunications thing would benefit Half Moon Bay, you know, I could help you form a 501c3 and ask for that money. So that's one reason, but that's not the only thing I could imagine the MCC asking for money for out of Measure K. Frankly, I don't know if this really makes a lot of sense, because unless Ray agrees with it, I don't know that we would get much money, but I just thought it was worth mentioning as a way to allow us, because we're not getting Measure K money that I can see. It's not on the priorities we've asked for. And we desperately need that feasibility study for telecommunications. Now, there are other things, if I may, that we could spend money on, but I'll bring those up at the end of this discussion. This is just the idea that we form our own 501c3. I'm going to find that out, but I think there's filing fees, and
Okay,
I'm going to
Are they
assume it's
trivial?
$1,000 or less.
okay.
But so that leads to the other part
How
of the
long does it
discussion.
last for?
It's a permanent formation, but you have to have
Okay.
bylaws, you have to have a board and
Yes, you have to have a
officers,
board,
you know.
Yes, you have
So-
to file, you know, financial reports with the IRS, like every whatever. quarter.
Oh, my God.
So this is something I'm willing to spend time on, especially if I can get the help of people in Half Moon Bay who've done it before. Okay. But what do you think?
I'm voting yes. You tell me how much it costs. If it's reasonable in our own minds or whatever that means, reasonable, I'm voting yes for it. And then we can move forward with other funding for stuff that we want, like telecommunications or stormwater.
Storm, we'll get there too. Other comments?
Yeah, I have concerns that there may be some structural problems with realizing whose ever idea it was. Could be wrong, but I think that I got a feeling that there's certain county well, I don't want to speak for the county, but I think we should, before we spend a lot of time and effort, to make sure it's even possible. Do we know of any other advisory councils?
We know Alice was formed
Well, they're
and
not-
well-funded, but they're not an advisory council.
Right.
And this.
They're private.
This would be a separate organization, by the way. This would not be a subsidiary of the MCC. But my concept is it would directly address priorities identified by the MCC as the basis for making its requests.
So I think it's
Well-
important to know, is forming this gonna solve the problem? If, I mean, you say you think it can do it, this will give us the opportunity to get funded in a particular way and then get money, say Measure K money.
Or other grants.
Or other grants. If you're sure that this is a pathway to success, I'm voting yes. But we need to know before we make an effort, and I think we should make sure it solves our problem that we're trying to do.
Sure.
That's all we need to do.
And that it does not open up a whole nother set of complications, can of worms, if you will, that would kind of interrupt our success as being.
It just sounds like a separate entity, right? It's separate.
It would have to be a separate entity.
Well,
And I'm not sure how the board gets appointed or elected or chosen, So, I mean, I need to do more research. I'm just raising it as a concept, because when I listened at that damn fundraising thing, there were 100 501c3s out there with their hands out for money.
Yeah.
100 maybe exaggeration, it might have been 60.
Yeah, go. I'm ready. I'm ready to vote on. Agendaize this. Put it on the agenda with the details. I'm ready.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's gonna take some actual research and all that, but yeah, this is just kind of the sense of the. Oh, Anne wants to say something. Anne?
Is it gonna take some money to look into this?
Not to do the
Well,
basic research.
I will look into it for free.
Okay.
And I will come back with what are the costs attendant.
Let's let Ann talk. Ann,
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think this is a great idea because so many times when I used to go to the Board of Supervisors meetings and ask for money, it was always the nonprofits that were getting it and getting the Measure K, and there was nothing for the coast except for whatever the Board of Supervisors decided to prioritize. And usually it's just housing, and there's, pretty much nothing else. So I think this is a great idea.
awesome. Thank you, Ann.
So which of us wants to write Tim Fox and see if there's any legal problems?
All right.
Okay.
I'll put that on my. Okay.
And the other action item is that I will find out what the process, timeframe,
Filing fee.
and fees. Now, could I use that as a transition into the related issue? In other words, we would be spending MCC funds, the
We'll vote on it when you're ready.
$12,000 when we're ready, we'll vote on it. But I wanted to just mention a couple other things. We could spend money
Are
on.
we, so are we moving on from it? Because Burnett wants to.
Oh,
make a
but let Burnett
comment,
make a
so-
comment.
Go ahead, Burnett, if you want to make a comment about the 501c3 thing.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting idea, but I think you got to be very careful with the bylaws as to what it's really going to do. You don't want to get into a conflict, say, with CRISP and so on. Like, if you're going to fund it, then why is the county going to fund it? Arguments. But I think it could be a very valuable vehicle to maybe do some studies and so on to maybe help you guys get what you want to get. Because every time I'm sure you've seen the same thing. Every time you go up against the county, they have their little experts and stuff with their, ideas and stuff and their conclusions. And if you want to argue with it, you have to go out and get an expert to do it. It's almost like going to court where one expert against the other. But if you could get some studies done to help support some of your positions, I think it would be great. But again, it would be a separate entity. And that would be kind of, I think it's going to be questionable using any kind of MCC funds to do it. But I think it should be something that could be promoted outside of the MCC to be a vehicle to help the MCC and the coast get certain projects completed. Thanks.
Yep, thanks, Burnett.
So, as they say, she who hires the consultant decides what it says. Okay. And so, I had thought about hiring an engineering firm to do a peer review of the stormwater study, which is coming up. Because we're going to say some things in there that are going to, I don't know how to put this.
Rattle the cage.
Rattle the cage. And so I discussed with a partner in an engineering firm, what would it cost for a peer review? He says, well, it depends on how long the document is. But, with any reasonable length document, something less than $3,000. It's a per hour thing. It's not like they're going to issue an official opinion on their engineering stamp that what you're saying is, endorsed by them. What they will say, though, is if you missed something or, something else you can consider, it will add a little credibility. Now, I don't want to wait for a 501c3 to be formed, 2 years from now. So I do want to raise for future consideration as we come up with a stormwater study as potential expense for our $10,000-$12,000, using some of it for a peer review to substantiate what we're saying about the stormwater study.
So,
And in fact, if we had done something like this for the traffic thing on Farallon View, maybe that would have helped too. But
Yes.
so if you agendize this
in the future,
we want to, and you want to like make it on a budget. We want to give them a scope. We want them, I don't know what exactly you want. Do you want engineering drawings for a solution?
no, I would
Or do you
want,
want to say, hey, you have a problem that can be solved?
I want them to say,
Give us we need a quote from them
Right.
and we'll pick what we want. Bring us a quote with an agenda item and we'll agendaize it and we'll decide how much we want to spend on
right,
this.
but the idea is to make sure that our stormwater study
Yes,
is reasonably comprehensive and factually accurate.
to whatever degree we'd like it to be. I mean, right, for the details on what we're looking at. We have to give them scope. and what we'd like at the end,
The
right?
scope would be to review our draft of the stormwater study.
Right, but for the entire Midcoast, for just El Granada?
It'll be for the scope of the stormwater study, which will be for the Midcoast and overlap Half Moon Bay and
Okay.
part of Moon Ridge. Okay,
And is this done already?
it's not done, it's in draft form, but it will be done in the coming weeks. So I'm just trying to line up the thought
Okay,
that we should have it ratified, endorsed, peer reviewed.
I think if we're gonna have it, and we want people to pay attention to it, and you think there's a reasonable chance that they might pay attention to it, getting it peer reviewed is probably a good idea.
Agreed. And if it's, if it's gonna be a reasonable, it's gonna be the $3,000, then fine.
put it on the agenda, I'll vote on that.
Okay, well, let's get there.
Okay. All right, so I guess we're done talking about the 501c3.
Yes.
Anything else that any you want to say about that? No, okay, great, so then, yes,
You know, if it does come to the agenda, we'll need to have all of the information.
right,
To make an intelligent decision. I have questions about it, but I'll just.
I think what he's referring to is, are there any barriers legally or otherwise or something?
Yeah, I think you're gonna find that there will be, but
it's,
I don't want.
it's definitely gonna be complex, but yeah.
If you look at the fact that the MCC hired a consultant to look at the roundabout issue years ago, they had contracts drawn up with that and a process they went through. We might want to see what that process was and see if it applies here.
Yeah, I think that was kind of handheld by Supervisor Horsley at the time, allowing that to kind of move forward. So
That may be.
I just don't. Well, we'll find out.
All right, well then, moving on to council activity. Yeah. I mean, I already sort of did mine.
Me and Greg are tomorrow gonna look at a clogged sewer grate in Miramar that's causing flooding tomorrow. And of course, I'm doing the update to the Half Moon Bay City Council.
Thank you for doing
We
this.
got it.
Yes. Greg?
I'll just mention that, I attend the SAM and MWSD meetings. And something came up again about capital budget for SAM. They did I'll call it a limited review of their capital expenditures. And even with the guidelines they handcuffed the consultant with, there was a bulge in year 2 or 3 of the plan. And members of the SAM board were concerned about the bulge. And when I assessed what they were asking for, the numbers were well within what you would expect over a 5-year period. They're going to address X% of the capital infrastructure, and at the current replacement cost, the numbers were quite reasonable. So I have continuing concerns that the members of our public works agencies in Half Moon Bay do not appreciate the iceberg of public works deficits that's looming, because it's right outside that 5-year window. But when you look at the numbers, there's $150 million in replacement assets at the sewer authority, SAM. That doesn't include the pipes in the ground that GCSD or MWSD or Half Moon Bay. That's just the sewer thing. And it's 72.5% into its useful life. Hello? Okay. So I'm just pointing out that I think that there's an iceberg of public works deficits that's going to need to come out, and it's going to affect the affordability of living here. It's going to affect the sustainability physically and fiscally of living here. And that the conversations I've been having with some of the board members, let's just say it's a spotty realization about whether or not they really have enough money and what they're doing about it. So there's going to be an underlying financial tension on this issue going forward for years. I'm just going to do what I can to try and rationalize the discussion, is all I'm saying.
Awesome. Any other council activity? I was supposed to have coffee with Amber at CUSD Cabrillo tomorrow, but events have overtaken that, so that'll have to wait. I will reach out to the new captain of the sheriff's office, see if we can get it down here.
Do you want to bounce the 501c3 off Ray, or just talk to Tim Fox first?
Fox.
Great Fox first.
I think so.
Well, sure.
If he says it's really a horrible idea, you can't do it, there's no way, there's no point in antagonizing Ray with it.
Yeah. Those are two separate pieces of feedback, whether it's a horrible idea, whether it's doable. I mean, anybody can form a 501c3.
Well,
Sure.
two different perspectives, right?
It's
Right, to be a political perspective and,
tends to be illegal one.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
We have a chat here that from Burnett that there's an event called Night of Lights in Half Moon Bay sometime in late November to mid-December. I think he's referring to it as an event we could attend to promote recruit MCC members.
Okay.
There's also the boat lighting thing in the harbor. I don't know when that is, I guess in December. There's a festival of lighted boats in the harbor.
Oh, I didn't know anything about that. Sounds fun.
It's
I'd
going on
go to
right
that.
now.
Right now.
Well, I got the email about the upcoming event.
Cool, okay, and then that gets us, I guess, to future agendas.
Dark skies, we heard dark skies being brought up.
You have a sense of
Potentially, yes.
when you can bring that to us?
yes, potential, that could be done in 2 weeks.
Oh, that'd be great.
Dan
Right.
Chandra said she would be happy to help with that if you had, I don't know why, but that's what she said.
Chandra,
That'd be great.
which,
Chandra Singh,
okay, with,
what
okay.
is she with Public Works or?
She's with the planning department.
Planning
She's one of the best.
Yeah, she's on her game, for sure.
Yeah.
She was we were gonna have her here at the next meeting, but we're gonna push it back so that
When did she tell you that?
This, at some meeting we had like a year ago.
Oh, a year ago?
I think the thing that you had, with the presentation that you sponsored, she said if, you know, I would be happy to work with you if you ever wanted to do an ordinance, if you could find something we could copy.
Okay, well, right now working with, Ray Miller, but I'll let him know. And maybe the three of us, or, you know,
Yeah,
I think essentially. Ray Miller will have to bring it to the planning department and maybe, you know, talking with, Sandra first, you know, might not be a bad idea to do it this time. Thank you.
Barbara Matheson put in chat the Montero Street Fair, which is September 22nd, so we'd have to rush to get signs or placards ready by then.
My only thought on that is that, you know, I've done a lot of like outreach, you know, certain, unless the issue is like really, really burning, most people are just going out to have fun. They're not gonna give you attention. So is my guess, you spend a lot of time organizing and expectations and thinking that it's gonna work, gonna get there and, you know, get kind of potentially kind of blown off a little bit and nothing really. I could be wrong. There's different ways to approach it, just have time, you know, but yeah, I just, you know, I think. You know, I think there's, ideally, there's the right time, the right moment to make that ask, you know. And, like I said, I could be wrong, but, the concern I have is a lot of energy put out, you know, potentially. Maybe the energy could be directed in other, you know, other areas.
You know who that is? Pescadero.
Oh, yeah. Oh, he's on. EMAC.
This is a public meeting, you gotta put that on the screen.
What?
What are we talking about?
Lean over and say something to him? Oh.
I don't know, it's just It's supposed to be a public meeting.
So the guy from Pescadero who runs it texted me that we could work together, easy to get the charitable designation.
Oh, great.
We'll
Good
see.
news.
That's actually a great idea to work together on this. We need stuff like that. Okay, so we won't have Shonda's team here next time. So right now, next time's meeting is wide open in terms of agenda. We have communications by then, or is that?
No, it's, we agree. I won't be here next meeting.
Oh, okay, so we're doing it the first one in October?
Yeah.
Okay, so first one in October will be comms, second one in October will be Chanda and the TDM plan. Let's see if I can get the captain to come. Any other ideas for what we?
How about the sheriff?
Yeah, we.
Yeah.
Said that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll see. I don't know if we can get him or not, but I'll see. What else we got?
You said you'd have the drainage thing done in a week or two or three. Would that be possible, Greg?
I'm gonna hold off making that commitment. Scott and I are gonna go out tomorrow.
I mean, if you need help in some way that you think I can help you get the stormwater thing together, if you want to sweatshop at some place that has beer and you want to work on it together, I'm okay with that. If you want to try to produce it.
If the MCC is gonna fund the beers, I can invite members of the community affected from
I got a
Prairie
check
Park,
right back
from-
there.
from half, what is Clipper Cove, from Montera, you know. But yeah, I do appreciate your,
Okay.
but we'll talk.
Okay.
Okay, well, all right, well, we'll work on the agenda, but any other?
Let's adjourn. You ready?
Done?
I think we should set a record and call it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm good with that.
Let's call it. Okay, we're adjourned.